So once again, a very good afternoon to our dear distinguished guests. Ladies and gentlemen, I was just chatting to our good friend, Mr. Alexander Wong, just outside here. He says, I've got to push more for questions from all of you. And it doesn't even have to be questions. It can be stories that you share, or it could be some challenges or obstacles that you have faced. Anything, please join us here with the conversations and our discussions. And yes, he's encouraged me to ask Terry to put up his hand as well. So we're expecting something from you, Terry, a little bit on later on. All right, so back to the stage here. Once again, the final panel discussion of the day, and we're going to be focusing on development. And some similar questions to the previous panel, and we'll start with this one. The geopolitical environment, you name it. We've got this ongoing war in Ukraine, and then you've also got the US-China ties, plenty of things to think about. It's full of uncertainty, there's a lot of tension, and there's ripple effects. What impact is that having on your market at home and on development? Where should we start?
One closest.
The gentleman closest. Please
I'm
do
sitting
take
next
the
to
lead.
you, I'll
Yes,
take the
yes.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Saad Nazir and I'm representing Blue World City from Pakistan. It's a real estate project, the largest in Pakistan, and we are making an effort to make it the largest project in Asia, inshallah. It's a residential and commercial hub, and it's going to be an industrial hub as well. So as far as your question is concerned, that the geopolitical situation, the war in Ukraine and the China-US ties, Pakistan is located at a very, very strategic position where we have Afghanistan on one side, Iran on the other side, and then we have India on the other side, and China is also there. So being next to China, China wants us to join their league in making sure that China leads as a superpower. Mm-hmm. And India, on the other hand, has a lot of difficult relationship issues which it has with China as well as Pakistan related to our boundaries, and especially Kashmir issue, which Pakistan claims that it's its territory and India claims that it belongs to them since partition. So, considering the weak economic situation that US is facing these days and China wants to take the lead, Pakistan has no choice but to make friendship more stronger with China and depend on their closest partner to invest in the CPAC projects that Pakistan is initiating right now. So considering the international situation, the real estate market is being affected negatively right now in Pakistan, but the developers are making an effort to come up with ways to attract international investment into Pakistan. Pakistan is facing tough times with regards to its currency, but yet again, the prices in Pakistan are the lowest in real estate throughout the world. So it's a very interesting market if you work out the return on investments.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right, let's move on then. So that's Pakistan. Shall we move on to Mr. Qingjing?
Okay. I speak in Chinese. My translator.
Oh, sure, please. Yes, that works too.
Because 这个中国跟美国的这个经济战争啊，在短时间之内不可能停止，那么就造成这个台湾的在特殊的这个看起来在区域紧张啊。事实上呢，这个区域紧张也正因为是台湾跟大陆是一个特殊的一个政治立场问题。那这个立场的问题呢，再加上西方呢长期以来 认为这个亚洲这些国家地区啊，都是被西方殖民的习惯，所以以至于他们认为这个大陆的崛起呢，这个暂时不会停止。那加上我刚才所说的两岸的特殊紧张的这特殊的政治的利害关系呢，就变成看起来是区域紧张，其实啊，这样的紧张正好符合了整个亚洲的经济发展的机会。我的感觉就是台商也好，外商都要利用台湾的产业链跟台湾的经济发展呢，来作为两路发展。利用台湾两路发展，第一路是呢，不放弃大陆的生产力跟市场；第二路就是利用台湾的生产力跟延伸到东南亚的生产力呢，可以呢继续的这个发展西方的市场跟东南亚的市场。这个不但是符合整个亚洲的经济发展的未来机会，也正好是台湾在这个情况特殊的被利用价值的地位。那这个，所以呢，未来的这个有关土地开发、房地产呢，在台湾，在整个亚洲也是更好的机会。
谢谢。I understood nothing. And I think that's the only word. Oh, I know why ni as well. But yeah, I understood nothing at all. So I'm going to have to rely on the interpreter there. Perhaps maybe just in a nutshell, please. Just the gist of what he has just said.
So the ongoing U.S. and China economic tension has provided opportunities for Asia, in Mr. Chen's opinion. By leveraging Taiwan's special political and economic stance, he hoped that companies are able to adopt a dual approach, which on the one hand benefiting from China's productivity and economic market, but on the other hand extending the reach from Taiwan into the Southeast Asia and then establish connection to industry in the Western countries. And moreover, meeting the demands of their consumer markets. So he believed that using the Taiwan's high-tech advantage could help other companies, from Western countries to come to Taiwan and establish, become a reliable partner in international supply chain. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that. So that's the scenario for China. Let's now move on to Dr. Singh. Are you reflecting on Thailand?
Well, I wouldn't say the geopolitics doesn't affect anyone. It does affect us, especially in the case that we have seen the rising cost of construction, materials, energy cost. And MQDC also own hotels in the UK, like 17 hotels in the UK. So we do have that kind of a negative experience in terms of rising cost of energy. The heating bills skyrocketing. So we do have to do this kind of contract price fixing. And what would happen if this geopolitics continues? But at the same time, we also experience that we have a lot more relationship with the domestic market, with Chinese companies. We do have a lot more investment from Chinese company in AI, in robotic, in IoT. So we see this kind of difficulty in geopolitics, but there are also opportunities that's happening in our industry, in the real estate sector. So we see MQDC will move forward in this manner to create more collaboration, technology collaboration with new partners that typically we partner a lot with the UK, the US, and European countries. Now we do a lot more within this region.
Great. So we're talking real estate, we're talking about development. We need to bring in that technology element. We need to bring in AI. We've heard about this throughout yesterday's panel discussion.
And sustainability.
Yes,
very important for
is
real
key.
estate.
Correct, you are. Thank you very much. Let's move on now to Norman.
Hi.
Hi.
Good afternoon to everyone. I'm Norman. I'm a partner at HBA. And in case you don't know, we're design consultants focused or specializing rather in hospitality design. So I'm pleased to be part of this panel. And I guess I'd be able to share thoughts on the agenda that we're discussing on our partnerships with developers on the projects that we do. And speaking of geopolitical factors, of course, Philippines is not exempt from that. Similar to what Dr. Singh said, the Philippines has been hugely impacted. The GDP growth is at 6.4% in the first quarter of this year. It's the lowest compared to the previous 7 quarters. That's mainly, or major factors of that is, of course, are those conflicts, political conflicts in the other countries, and of course the recent pandemic. And so that affected a lot, especially the construction industry. But however, there's another side to it because of those factors. The markets shift. So the focus of the developments, instead of course, hospitality was badly impacted by the pandemic. We suffered from that. A lot of developers suffered from that. So the trend that I noticed is the shift on the markets in providing, focusing on the residential sector, for example, instead of the ones that are dependent on tourism. And specifically for the Philippines, I think the economy survived because there is to a certain extent, despite all the political noise. I'm sure you know that the Philippines has got a very colorful politics, but the political stability to a certain extent is very important. So they're the ones that push for provide support to the developers to continue with contributing to the economy. And I think that's been working so far.
Okay, and as you're in hospitality, have things bounced back now?
I can safely say yes. In this year especially, there's slowly bouncing back. Of course, after all the travel restrictions have been lifted, and I think the World Health Organization has declared that the
Pandemic is no more.
globally it's safe. It's not a threat. So I think there's a revenge building happening right now among developers, especially those hospitality projects that were shelved. Yeah, it's
Back on
positive.
track.
Yeah, back on track. So good
Because
for
I know
everyone.
here in Thailand, tourism is very, very important for us.
Yes,
And I know it
yes.
is in the Philippines as well. I mean, you've got your beautiful islands, Cebu, Palawan, etc. as well.
That's right.
So very good to have you here on the panel. We'll move on now
Thank
to
you.
Mr. Satoshi. And your point of view, please.
Okay, so maybe I will share from a global perspective since Lix is a global company. Actually, we are closely monitoring several factors, of course, like GDP, what Mr. Norman mentioned, also consumer buying power, which directly linked to the baseline product. And then cost side is that the supply chain disruption, also material cost increasing, and then, of course, inflation, what we discussed this morning. So I would say overall, this fiscal year, actually slightly better than last fiscal year. But I would say by region, for example, like EMENA, Europe, still facing some risk for the geopolitical environment. And the Americas, as you know, the economic itself is slowed down. So that's why I think consumer buying power is a bit slow. Then maybe China, I think we see some recovery, but not yet fully back. But I would say there are 3 areas which we see strong demand. I think first one is at East Africa. Then second one is at Middle East. Then last one is at India and like Greater India, like Subcon. So those 3 areas we see still very strong demand for not only retail side but also project side. So we see that many potential pipeline and many actual people started to get in those regions. So that is our observation.
Very interesting to know and exciting there. East Africa, you were saying, and also the Middle East in the mix there. So maybe time to expand and look further afield. Thank you very much for that global overview. So that's the geopolitical environment and the tensions and the instability there and its impact. Let's now talk about climate change. We need to, because this is, something that is, we call it a climate emergency. And it's something that I'm sure you're all very concerned about, and things like water security as well. Now, you don't all have to answer every question, as we do have a couple of questions here, and we're also going to take a couple of questions from the floor. Yeah? So, tell us, climate change, water security, in what respect does that impact your thinking and your decision making?
I'd like to
Thank you,
speak.
Dr. Singh.
Yeah, I think it's very important for us at MQDC. I think it's one of the top priority for our development. We feel that if we do not address the issue of climate change, we will not have properties to sell at the end of the day. If we do not address the issue of water scarcity, extreme heat, flood, all these issues happening more frequently than in the past. 40 years ago, we have natural disaster about 150 times a year around the globe. That's about one every 2 days. Do you know what happened in the record last year? We have about 800 natural disaster every year now. That means you have about 2 natural disasters of big scales per day. So with this kind of knowledge and this kind of happenings, we cannot just continue the normal practice. You build, you sell, you build, you rent. I don't think that's going to go for very much longer. I think we need to really be careful how we address future real estate development. At MQDC, we set a target. We want to go carbon negative, not just net zero carbon, but carbon negative within 30 years. And that is too late already. But with the technologies, with the network, with the requirements that we have today, it's difficult to go net zero. We cannot even produce our own electricity from natural or renewable resources.
Yes.
So we need to go all the way back.
It is very alarming
from the
indeed,
beginning.
and I believe that according to the UN statistics, we're very behind those goals,
Very behind.
sustainable goals that will be expiring in 2030. So you're very right, and I'm happy that you made this point that more has to be done, and
Yes.
it is concerted effort. We all need to consider this, not just to build, and sell.
And you have to recognize we are the one who destroy the world because we move mountains to build buildings. We cut trees to build homes. And if we don't take actions, who will? I think the biggest
Correct.
action is our industry.
For the sake of the future generations.
Yes, and I've got kids as well, so I'm very, very concerned about the future, and I'm sure that everybody out there in the audience are with us with this one. All right, Mr. Satoshi, you have something to add, please.
Yeah, maybe I'll share from some business perspective how this kind of a climate change, water security impact us. So for us, when it comes to the Asia region, there are 2 types of the market. The first market is like a government is proactive to drive this kind of sustainability initiatives, like Singapore and Australia. And then other market is more reactive to see how that goes on. For example, Singapore, I know some of the participants from Singapore. I think Singapore is always advanced, like especially hospitality segment, like hotel sustainability roadmap they announce, right? Like 60% of hotel room have to attain the international recognized hotel sustainability certification or achieve net zero by 2050. So which require energy efficiency, water conservation, and waste reduction. Actually, I had some joke with one of the developers in Singapore because the government says some policy by 2013, all hotels in Singapore have to reduce water consumption 50%. So then we studied that actually one hotel room uses at the 60 to 700 liter water every day, but half come from shower. So if we want to achieve that the target immediately, we ask customer not take a shower. So that is the most efficient way, but of course shower is an important part. So actually we are working together to how to minimize the water usage to maximize the consumer benefit. So I would say this kind of government direction is directly impact to our business. So as a leading technology company, we have to proactively to offer the solution rather than to reactively to response to that kind of initiative. So that's might be impact for business.
Very, very important point there. Thank you to you for bringing this up. And this also reiterates what I forgot now. Another panelist also mentioned this, that governments need to be more firm. They need to take this seriously and they need to enforce those policies. Yeah. Norman, before I give it to you, I believe you wanted to add something?
As a real estate project in Pakistan, we are taking an initiative of making our project the model project, and we're adding more green structures to our development, and we are ensuring that 60% of our area goes to green area, so it helps improve the sustainability and the climate change. Overall, an initiative is being taken in Pakistan for planting trees all over the country. The previous government was taking it very seriously, so hope that Pakistan plays its role, inshallah.
Excellent, and hopefully that you said the previous government, hopefully the current government will also take on and translate these.
Yeah, we change governments every 2 years, so probably the next
Okay, let's leave that out. I don't want to go into Thai politics either. We'll leave politics out of it. Norman, sorry, we'll just get to you a minute. I think Mr. Sheen, he wants to say something.
我们除了在这个马桶跟这些相关设备的用水要节省以外，由于我们的这个商办又是各楼层、高楼层种树，又有生态庭园，所以呢，我们的用水算为了这个维持种树用水量比较大。 所以我们超过政府的规定2倍以上，我们设了这个水柜专门来以水回收，来使我们的用水节省。这是我们作为商业办公大楼的一个用法。
Our project continues to embody the spirit of planting trees in high-rise buildings, and then. Because since that we're going to plant a lot of trees, so there will be a lot of water that's will be consumed, right? So our water reservation, water conservation, it's like twice as much of scale of what government has required for us. So we have saved a lot of water in our new projects.
Excellent to hear. So water security is also something that we should really consider and place as priority. Norman, your turn.
Yeah, I just wanted to add what everybody's been saying here. I think I'm in agreement with everyone. Like what Dr. Singh said, it cannot be a quick fix solution. It needs to be long term. It needs to be fundamental. And what you mentioned, Pat, about the government, so the initiative has to come from the governments because the UN, United Nations, already gave the Sustainable Development Goals. And they're not just about specifically climate change, but it's the spirit of sustainability. It covers alleviation of poverty, equality, among others, right? So the government needs to take the initiative because the developments can only be bound within the parameters that they dictate. So it needs to be a long-term solution.
Definitely agree with you on that one. Long-term, serious about the policies, and also everybody coming together.
Do we have any government sectors in here?
I'm not so sure, actually.
I mean, we are saying they need to take action. Are they in here?
I'm not so sure. If you're here, please.
They may not even be here, and we're talking about they need to take this and that. But I think being in Thailand, practicing in Thailand, we need to take action ourselves. We can't rely on, for example, like the government would take this action or that action. It takes a long time. Even in Thailand, we're not the slowest, but still very slow. And they would consider economic growth first, live well-being of the people first. But for us, we need to consider both.
Yes.
And I see that the reason that we go deep dive into decarbonizations, because we don't, of course it's investment we need to make, but we can see this. If we want a company to last 100 years, spending 10 years for investing in new technology that can be made, commercialized in the next 80 years because we all need to decarbonize is a smart directions. So I think we need to discuss how we can manage, especially with big companies.
Yes.
Not going to be around for like 5 or 10 years and go away. You're going to be like, 50 years, 60 years.
We've
That
only
kind of planning is important.
It truly is. Now, unfortunately, we only have 1 hour for our panel discussion, less than 1 hour, but it would be great to just brainstorm, not just with the gentleman here, but with everybody else here. I'm sure we heard some best practices from Pakistan, from China. We heard that, and we want to continue because we know what the problems are. We pretty much know what the direction is, but it would be great to share best practices and the way forward. Now, Dr. Singh, you mentioned, 800, 900 natural disasters per year?
A year.
That is frightening.
That's frightening.
And yes, only the major big ones make it into the news, right? And then now it's concerted effort. Look what happened in Syria and Turkey, that earthquake, and we saw the whole world coming in and lending a helping hand, etc. But let's talk about these natural disasters, big and small, tropical cyclones. We've got it in Bangladesh. We've got friends from Bangladesh and Myanmar, Thailand also. Pakistan has its fair share, yes? And that sends huge consequences. How can we mitigate this? And this is where I want to hear those best practices. This is where I want to hear your ideas as well, members in the audience. What can we do moving forward to mitigate all this? Please, Mr. Shin.
全世界的这个气候变迁呢，已经向重力加速度越来越严重。那么2004年的南亚大海啸就是一个证明。3年前澳洲的大火，一次可以烧掉5个台湾，台湾是总共36000平方公里，5个台湾，它烧了5个大，这是我们充分敏感的，在这一生从来没有在历史上听过，也没有经历过，所以我觉得气候变迁的问题相当严重，对人类的伤害很大。所以我们在建筑，不管是住宅跟这个 office 我们都认为各楼层都应该种树，因为现在我们所有在全世界看到的建筑物跟马路，通通都是原来被砍掉的森林，所以地球被破坏，他在求救。所以我们建筑开发商它本身呢，它的碳排它在可以说占到将近40%碳排量。那我们觉得我们要降低这个灾害，唯一的就是各行各业要努力。那我们作为开发商，除了自己在高楼层各种树来吸碳、抗软化，吸碳虽然是一小步，但是却是抗软化的一大步。这个吸碳一小步、抗软化一大步，来补足节能减碳不足的，也是希望全世界一起来。我们在6年前曾经就呼吁大家一起来，全世界的工商界的开发商都应该一起来，而全世界的各级政府都应该鼓励买房子的人给他们奖励，而奖励并不是奖励给我们开发商，是奖励到他们买的人落实在他们身上，以让开发商加速度和建筑师的设计能够都朝这个方面。朝这个方面的目的呢，就是使全世界的高楼都能够种树，也以至于公共建筑 各种公铁路两旁都要广植种树，这样来帮助地球啊增加这个吸碳的这个数目。那我想这是一个很重要的关键。那这些积沙成塔才可以使我们2050年的净零排碳能够解决，那避免更多的灾难。而纵然还是有灾难，它也是降低到很多，这是，所以以我们这次参加这个来参加的这个建筑物，我们就有非常多的这个吸碳，非常多的节能，非常超以一量回收，那这些等等的，都是我相信对我们未来非常有帮助的。
All right, thank you very much to the interpreter for reminding him to actually use the microphone, because I'm sure that there are some people who understand. I'm not even sure what dialect this is, but yeah, I'm sure some of the members of the audience will understand, but I don't. So please, wrap it up for me. I'm pleading.
I'll just wrap it up, and it's Mandarin. We speak in Mandarin.
Good to know, Mandarin.
Okay. So, Mr. Shi believed that we can no longer remain inactive in the topic of extreme weather, because global warming is really important, really serious right now, and he always wanted to say tree planting is the most important part of as a developer, to plant trees in every floor. So that's why most of our projects have built trees in almost every floor. Yeah, and because of this, planting trees is a small step, but it can help us to do carbon absorption and also help us to have a significant impact towards climate change, since that trees can help us to absorb carbon dioxide.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is correct, and I'm so very pleased that you know, you're on board as well, you know, with carbon-free, net zero, and offsetting carbon. Fantastic to hear. Thank you very much for your input. Yes, back to natural disasters mitigating. If I could ask Mr. Saad. Sorry, please take a sip first. Terrible me. Please, and then if you can respond.
What was your question?
The question is, what can we do to mitigate natural disasters, as Pakistan has its fair share, no?
Yes. Climate change has its effects, and natural disasters come with climate change.
Is the government taking some...
Yes, the only thing we at Pakistan can do is ensure we need to build more dams, we need to plant more trees, and we need to take care of the additional water that we get from India during the rainy season, and we can do that only by building more dams throughout the country. And it's about time that the government has started taking it seriously, and they are now planning and executing these projects with the help of our Chinese friends. And we're doing it in good time, and hopefully we will be able to cover or work out the next upcoming floods and natural disasters, inshallah.
All right, so water management is key as well there. The audience, do we have any best practices and good examples that you would like to share?
I can share what we do.
Please.
At MQDC, we have two things. We know that climate change is so crucial to our future as mankind. So with two things that we do, we have resilient framework. For all the project development, we are addressing climate change in the sense that we need to live in terms of adaptation with the changes. So this framework that we have three pillars. Pillar number one is environment, ecology, that we need to address which issue that would destroy our real estate development in terms of environment. We list out. The second pillar is about living infrastructure. What would make our property fail? Resiliency. If the flood comes, what would happen to our property? The third pillar is about economy to grow and communities. So these three pillars become the core framework for our property development to make a plan. And under each pillar, there will be like 10, 15 issues that we need to address. For example, extreme heat. If it happened in Thailand, what should we do? The second thing that we do, and I like our colleagues here from Pakistan, we create showcase. I'd like to invite you to visit the forest here, not too far from here, about 10 kilometers from here. It's a showcase that uses the framework and to build it. You can ask me about financial issue later, but we built this without, imagine Thailand, without any compressor for air conditioning system, because compressor spout out heat. So it makes the property hotter. In the future, extreme heat climate, we'll be in trouble. So we become the first property to send chilled water underground to all the units at the forest tiers. And on top of that, we build forest. When we talk about forest, we make clear distinction between forest and park. We don't do park. We don't just grow trees. We need to allow biodiversity to emerge. And that's another story, because once you live around the park and you live around the forest, your health are very much different.
You need to go to convince the people living in the Middle East in the very, very hot desert to buy this idea and to develop more areas like this, because once again, reiterating that I live in the desert in Doha, Qatar, and it's like, 43 degrees at the moment? And it can get up to 45 or even 50 degrees. Now, this is no joke, okay? But I still need a jacket when I go indoors. Outside, it's scorching hot, but indoors, the aircon is extremely cold. It's like I'm walking into a big freezer. Now, that can't be good for the environment.
Here too in Thailand.
It's not as bad, it's not as extreme over there, but you have a point, okay? So that's for you to think about as well going forward. You live in luxury and comfort, but the reality is you're being cooled, comfort from the aircon, but it is, as you said, it's heat being released into the environment.
So if anyone have an extra day to see this kind of prototype, and I invite you, because you are one of the person who want to create this model for Pakistan. We have the same mindset.
And we have a lot of land with us, and we can do urban forestation.
There you go. And we can join hands and get seeds from China as well to grow more trees.
Excuse me. Oh, we are from Taiwan. It's not.
From Taiwan. Oh, forgive me. See, look, that's such a faux pas on my part. You should have told me earlier. Forgive me. Chinese, Taiwan. Oh, that's a big lesson that I learned. Hosting for APEC. So China, as mainland China, is there on the list as well, and there's Taiwan. And sensitivity, with the naming, and when you've got all these different countries and economic areas, you've got to place it in alphabetical order. Now, they gave me a list. Sorry, I'm really digressing. I hope you don't mind, but we don't have to be too serious, right? But this is a serious matter because it's international relations, and you know how sensitive that can be. So basically, where was I? So Taiwan, the list came, and I announced it sort of after China, Taiwan. And then a representative from Taiwan came to me, excuse me, who gave you this list? It's wrong. Taiwan comes after Thailand. Sorry, before Thailand, because we're like, you get it? You get my story? You don't place them? Sorry, I don't want to get political, so let's just stop it with my story, okay? Let's just come back to development over here. My apologies. But anyways, so those are some examples of some best practices. Do we have anybody from the audience here? Oh, thank you. We've got a hand there. Please share with us. Who's taking the microphone? Wow, this should be interesting. Everybody, all ears. Attention on her.
This links to climate change. I'll teach some sustainability in school, so many kids will join in and also think about saving the world.
Oh, lovely. You see, the future. She's a spoken, and the message to all of you is, please ensure we have a greener world for us, for me, for my friends, for my classmates, when we are adults. She's pleading to all of you. A big round of applause to her once again. Thank you so much, sweetheart. Is that the end of your message?
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much. There's your applause. And
Thank you.
please continue to deliver your message when you get the opportunity. Thank you very much indeed. And she was the very highlight of this panel discussion here. Okay, so look, we're running out of time. So let's talk future, near future. What's the most exciting prospects in terms of, the evolving world, technology, connectivity, and still continuing to weigh in, sustainability measures, etc. Let's end with that. The future. What's it looking like? Any exciting news to share with us, or perhaps some concerns and focuses that we should continue to consider?
我在台湾27年前就认为任何东西都要虚实整合的管理。那么因此，对于这个我们现在做的这个 property 呢，我们不但在科技上的应用啊，在建筑的时候就用BIM的开始设计，一直到未来便于这个物业的管理。那物业管理我们也就是用 AIoT 互联网的观念，这样子把它整合起来，然后又利用了我们所建立的这个建筑物履历表，这样使以后这个物业管理可以未来化，然后用有温度的管理跟科技整合在一起的管理，我认为是以后我们想好好的利用科技的进步啊，来达到这个物业的价值，使这个未来化的建筑物呢，就更加有未来化。
Mr. Chen proposed the concept of virtual and physical integration 27 years ago. He wrote a book about it, and he believed that this should be integrated to into our buildings. So first of all, he believed that using BIM is the most important part, and also additionally combining AIoT into a building, making it sensorable, is really important for us to manage our building in the near future. Yeah.
Thank you. Shishia to you once again for that, Mr. Shin from Taiwan. Let's hear some more examples. Mr. Satoshi?
Yeah, maybe I would start some high-level framework for the near future. It's, as like what I mentioned yesterday morning presentation, 3 key high-level macro trend is health and well-being, sustainability, urbanization. I think we believe those kind of 3 high-level trends continue for next 5 to 10 years. And then when it comes to the link to the technology side, I think especially sustainability area, which technology to help to proceed. So we observe 3 subcategories. Number 1 is at the energy, water efficiency. Then I think number 2 is at the CO2 reductions. And then number 3 is at the circular economies. So those are the 3 subcategories. For example, energy and water efficiency, like Singapore, they started the PPVC, is prefab fabrication of the vehicles. It's a kind of a Lego block type of a building, like a prefabrication or POD type. This is kind of a way to make building efficiency is one trend. And the water efficiency, of course, at the less water and maximize the benefit. And therefore, us, Lixil, we going to launch that the new shower is kind of recycle, circular shower. I think I personally, in 5 to 10 years, that's going to be the majority of the shower, but the water actually recycling, so we can technically speaking, we can continue to take a shower endless. The CO2 reduction part is, of course, that the manufacturing company have a responsibility to reduce CO2 in order to achieve net neutral. The last one is circular economy. So this is more recyclable products. I cannot say the name, but we are working with one of the hotel. They try to be the all equipment hotel need to be recyclable by 2013. So since we already launched a recyclable world first faucet, but now they request us to the even toilet and the ceramic product need to be recyclable. So I think that's kind of things happen for next 5 to 10 years.
So a real focus on a circular economy. Thank you. Norman, how about you reflect on the hospitality industry?
Well, the future is exciting. Well, just on the one hand, what we've been talking about here about sustainability, what's great about it is the awareness, the current awareness of what the demands of the current and future generations are in terms of sustainability. So it's good to know that the initiatives are taken by companies like Lixil in the technology sector, and of course the developers are a major driving force on that, and we as consultants in a way provide the support in that with our experience and help. But as far as hospitality is concerned, I'm really looking forward to how technology has evolved actually and continue to evolve and that. And it's exciting because after the pandemic, after the slowdown in tourism and travel, now all the players are in the innovation mode on how to capture the market. And of course, AI has been mentioned in your discussions yesterday as a major part of that. It's already there. The technology is there. It's just around the corner and how it will evolve. And for me personally, I'm excited to go to a hotel and, you know, everything's on demand now. You ask, Alexa, turn the aircon on. Oh. You know, when you walk in, it's like watching that scene from Blade Runner when you get to your room. It's not on demand. You're being asked. Your AI will ask you, how do you want your temperature? What coffee would you like? And it automatically just served to you. So, yeah, that's one hand as far as hospitality. Of course, the human touch is always expected in terms of hospitality. So that will always be there. And I think all the major operator brands are also always innovating in how to provide that.
So yes, as you said, it is very exciting indeed, and it's all about building forward better, bigger, brighter, greener, etc.
Exactly.
All those key words there. I'm going to jump to you first here before we go back to Dr. Singh.
I think since we're representing Asia right now, this is something that the entire world needs to look at, and the kind of investment that countries put into their defense budgets, that kind of investment is needed to be poured into this climate change thing and helping protect the human race against this catastrophe that we are going to be facing in the upcoming years. So instead of making that investment on defense and weapons and weapon industry, we should convert that investment into sustainable architecture and creating sustainable landscape and urban forestation. And we can help each other grow by creating our business markets with each other. I remember in Pakistan 20, 30 years back when computers came over to our country and it was new for us, it helped us, or it helped the Western world sell their products to our market, since we had more access to the internet. Similarly, if the world helps each other, or the Asian countries help each other grow in the economic sense, instead of spending on the defense, we can spend on the sustainability and the climate change aspect and live a more peaceful life.
In full agreement with you there. Less money in defense, more on sustainability, education as well for me, you know, and also coming together. No more borders and boundaries. Dr. Singh.
I agree with all of them. So I want to add to what they haven't said. What are we excited about? We're excited about how to bridge between physical real estates with virtual real estates. How can we create experience both in the physical world and the virtual world? Not just BIM. BIM is more engineering, more maintenance, but more about experience. We might have our avatar in the future, in the next 10 years. How can our avatar enjoy real estate development? How can we bridge those? How can we initiate that now? We talk a lot about metaverse, but and you know that new generations spend more time in the metaverse, in the virtual world already. If we want to continue decades to come, we need to understand virtual real estate. And when you sell physical real estate, you need to be able to bridge and sell virtual real estate in parallels. And I think there's a lot more to that, because when someone wants to be in some environment, they want to enjoy it, right? In the virtual world, you can spend probably 15 minutes and you get headache from all these VR devices. How can you develop that technology and be prepared to integrate it into that environment? How can you make avatar happy to be in that world? So we are very excited about neuroscience, because neuroscience can help us create happy home, happy offices, happy development, can also help us learn how to create this happiness in different world. And I think this is something that we want to explore further in our future developments.
Yes, I think this was also something that was very exciting for us to hear. Nikki Hunt also brought up neuroscience as well going
Very
forward.
important.
Very important. So there, we're just going to leave it at that. But I'm going to give the opportunity one last time to see if the audience have any questions, or not just questions, if you just wanted to add to what we've been talking about or share your stories with us. Any hands in the air? Oh, Terry. Please, pass the mic to Terry.
Thanks very much, Pat. Look, a very interesting dialogue there with the developers, but I put my hand up on behalf of the architects and the interior designers in the audience. Please allow me to ask a question. I'll just lead into this because we all know and appreciate the development process is difficult. I just read recently a report from Cambridge University that said over the last 20 years, 96.4% of all major developments in the world were over budget and not within the original time constraints. So it probably reinforces the challenge. But here's the big question for us on the creative side. How does a developer now make a selection for the appropriate architect and/or interior designer for their development? Is it on skills, the ability to service, or is it the lowest price? Thank you.
Big question.
Yeah, what's his name?
Terry.
Yeah, okay, Terry. Terry, I'm an architect myself and a developer as well. So for the past 15, 20 years, I've been providing service to other clients in our country for architectural services, and then the economic side of the story made us convert to a turnkey solution provider, and we started providing turnkey solutions. And there's where a conflict arises between architects and contractors. People started calling us contractors instead of architects. So, and now we're in a position where we hire different architects into creating good designs for us. So as developers, when we look at architects and interior designers, we are always looking for new ideas. It's not the cost, because the cost you put into the design process, you get it out in the form of value addition. So if a really wonderful architect or someone very creative comes in, he brings or she brings in an idea that gets you on a lot of money, and you can always easily pay back the architect or the consultant. But one thing that we always look at is the timely provision of drawings and the creative part of it, because some of the creative people wait for, heavenly ideas coming to them during a course of time, and a developer cannot wait that long. So creativity has to be time bound, which it unfortunately is not, since I am an architect myself, so it's a process of evolution. So we're looking for always people who have really wonderful creative ideas, but they are able to provide the drawings and the supervision timely, then only we hire them. So the developer is able to make good money in time, since the money is mostly borrowed from either public or from the banking structure. I hope that answers your question.
Well, I do appreciate your comment. It's nice to see a fellow architect as a developer, but I'll add something else just to be a little bit provocative here. A study was done by the CSIRO in Australia in the last 20 years now on the value that architects provide to developers in terms of drawings, and you brought this subject up. And what came out of this study, which was, I think, part of the problem that everyone sees, is that for every 1% of fee that the architects dropped, the cost of a building went up by 11.2%. Now, of course, I'm biased in what I'm going to say, but I'm saying that at the end of the day, if you talk to a contractor, and we try and develop good relationships professionally with our contractors, they always tell me that they can only build what's on the drawing. And if you don't get a good set of drawings from the professional consultants, then how do you manage time, cost, and quality on your part?
Okay, what all developers, I suppose, end up doing, and especially in Pakistan, since the architectural fee you said, it amounts to 11% of the project cost. The architectural fee structure in Pakistan is...
It goes, sorry, for every percentage fee it goes down, the cost of a project goes up 11% on the average.
Okay, but it's not like that for us in Pakistan. The fee structure is very low, so whatever amount we spend on the architect, it does not affect the project. So we do a good investment on the architects, and even sometimes we look for foreign consultants to come over and do the things, because the value addition is unmatchable. And the second part
Good to hear.
Okay.
Good to hear.
Yeah. We're looking for people. Okay. So the second part is where you said that the set of drawings is not amicably provided by the consultant. What do we do then? All the developers in our country, and I suppose in other countries as well, like my friends, by the way, I thought all of them were from China. Okay. So all the developers have a good architectural team in-house. So where the consultants end up lagging on the drawings, the developers themselves then jump in and create the rest of the drawings themselves to help out on maintaining the time and the timely execution of the project. So that is something that we shouldn't be doing, but this is a practice in our country that all the developers have their in-house design teams as well to support the foreign consultants or the more creative consultants.
Not sure about you, Terry, but I'm very, very satisfied and very appreciative of his response to your very big question there. Thank you very much. Yes, I think this is all the time that we have for this panel discussion. I'd like to thank you so very much. All our panelists, please give them a big round of applause. Mr. Satoshi from Lixil Water Technology Asia Pacific, Mr. Saad Nazir of Blue World City, Mr. Ching Jin Shin from Core Pacific Developers in Taiwan, Dr. Singh Indrashuto from Magnolia Developers, and Norman, thank you as well to you from HBA in Manila.